Good day everyone, my name is Judy Sigay and I'm here to talk about the theories of crime causation. Crime causation is a daunting and complex field. For centuries, philosophers have pondered the meaning of the concept of cause as it pertains to human behavior. Increasingly, research suggests that individuals are unaware of the causes of other people's behaviors as well as the causes of much of their own conduct. Topic 1. Output Outcomes. At the end of this activity, you should be able to put at least 2 to 3 learning objectives. Number 1. Define what are the theories of crime causation. Number 2. Learn what is classical theories, psychological theories, sociological theories, biopsychological theories, and political or social conflict theories in relation to crime causation. Topic 2, Number 1. Classical theories of crime causation. According to Cesare Beccaria and Jeremy Bentham, classical theories of crime causation hold primarily that the people's decision to commit crime is a matter of choice, because it was assumed that people had free will to choose their behavior. Those who violated the law were motivated by personal needs such as greed, revenge, survival, and hedonism. Letter A. Rational choice theory. Rational choice theory adopts a utilitarian belief that humans are reasoning actors who weigh means and ends, costs and benefits in order to make a rational choice. Letter B. Routine activity theory. According to Lawrence E. Cohen and Marcus K. Felson, routine activity theory looks at crime from an offender's point of view. A crime will only be committed if a likely offender thinks that a target is suitable and a capable guardian is absent. It is the offender's assessment of a situation that determines whether a crime will take place. Letter C. Lifestyle theory. According to Michael R. Gottfredson and Michael Hindelang and James Garofalo in 1978, it suggests that certain people may become the victims of crimes because of their lifestyles and choices. For example, someone with a gambling or substance addiction could be as an easy victim by a con artist. Letter D. General deterrence and specific deterrence theory. General deterrence theory focuses on potential offenders and that these offenders must receive punishment in severe, swift, and certain ways. Specific deterrence theory holds that if offenders are punished so severely, the experience will convince them not to repeat their illegal act. Letter E. Victim precipitation theory. According by Hans von Hentig, 1941, victim precipitation theory suggests that the characteristics of the victim precipitate the crime. That is, a criminal could single out a victim because the victim is of a certain ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender, or gender identity. The concept of victim-offender interaction can be classified either active or passive precipitation, according to Walsh, 2012. Letter F. Incapacitation theory. Incapacitation theory argues that reductions in crime rates are achieved through higher imprisonment rates since the offender cannot commit new crimes while incarcerated. Number 2. Psychological theories of crime causation. Psychological theories express that criminal behavior was the product of unconscious forces operating within a person's mind. According to this group of theories, conflicts that occur at various psychosexual stages of development might impact an individual's ability to operate normally as an adult. Letter A. psychodynamic theory and psychosexual stages of human development. According to Sigmund Freud, this theory utilizes Freud's id, ego, and superego, and states that crime must be related to an imbalance in one or more of these. Psychosexual stages of human development. The most human drive present at birth is eros, the instinct to preserve and create life. Eros is expressed sexually. Consequently, very early in their development, humans experience sexuality at every stage, expressed by seeking pleasure through various parts of the body. The 5 stages of Freud's psychosexual theory of development include the oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital stages. Letter B. Behavioral theory. According to John B. Watson, 1878 to 1958, and Burrhus Frederick Skinner, 1904 to 1990, behavioral theory is a form of conditioning where behavior is learned and reinforced by rewards or punishment. So if a person is in the company of those who condone and even reward criminal behavior, especially a figure of authority, then they will continue to engage in that behavior. Letter C. Social learning theory. Social learning theory was created by Albert S. Bandura in the year of 1973, a Canadian psychologist who argued that people are not actually known with the ability to act violently, but that they learn to be aggressive through their life experiences. The experiences include personally observing others acting aggressively to achieve some goal or watching people being rewarded for violent acts on vision or in the movies. According to Bandura 1973, believed that violence as something learned through a process called behavior modeling. First is family members, second, environmental experiences, and third, mass media. Letter D. Cognitive theory. According to Jean-William Fritz Piaget, in the year of 1896 to 1980, cognitive is defined as an ability to process information. Cognition has to do with one's ability to learn information quickly, memorize and understand information they receive. Cognitive theories of crime explain criminal behavior as a defect in moral thinking, thought processes, and mental development. Letter E. Moral development theory. According to Lawrence A. Kohlberg, in the year of 1927 to 1987, Kohlberg believed that individuals pass through stages of moral development. Most important to this theory is the notion that there are levels, stages, and social orientation. The 3 levels are pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. With respect to the different stages 1 and 2 fall under level 1, stages 3 and 4 fall under level 2, and stages 5 and 6 fall under level 3. Letter F. Intergenerational transmission theory. According to Joanne McCord in Boston and Lee Robbins in St. Louis, USA, in the year of 1982, intergenerational transmission of criminal behavior can be explained by a combination of different mechanisms: potential biogenetic risk, social learning or imitation of the parent's behavior, official bias, and a criminogenic environment with risk factors for crime. Intergenerational transmission theory states that criminal and antisocial parents tend to have delinquent and antisocial children, as shown in the classic longitudinal surveys. Letter G. Alternative theory. According to Robert F. Ruger, a jury must unanimously find proof beyond a reasonable doubt of every fact necessary to constitute the crime with which he is charged. But some facts can be found less unanimously than others. Alternative theory focuses on assortative mating where female offenders tend to cohabit with or get married to male offenders. Letter H. Differential association reinforcement theory. According to Ernest W. Burgers and Ronald L. Akers, combined Bandura's social learning theory and Sutherland's theory of differential association to produce the theory of differential association reinforcement. Differential association is a theory developed by Edwin Sutherland, proposing that through interaction with others, individuals learn the values, attitudes, techniques, and motives for criminal behavior. Letter I. Eysenck's conditioning theory. According to Hans J. Eysenck, theory of criminal personality suggests that personality is biologically based and that personality traits include dimensions of extraversion and neuroticism that can be measured using a personality questionnaire. Hans prepared questionnaires, what he called Eysenck Personality Questionnaire, or EPQ, and found out that criminals uniformly score higher in any of those mentioned dimensions than non-criminals. Letter J. Integrated theory. According to James Q. Wilson and Richard Julius Bernstein, integrated theory represents an attempt to bridge and ideological differences that exist among various older theories of crime by integrating variables from disparate theoretical approaches. An integrated approach recognizes that crime is a complex, multidimensional phenomenon with multiple causes. Letter K. Maternal deprivation and attachment theory. Maternal deprivation and attachment theory has been devised by British psychiatrist Edward John M. Bowlby, who expressed the notion that a child needs warmth and affection from his or her mother substitute. Bowlby's maternal deprivation hypothesis suggests that continual disruption of the attachment between infant and primary caregiver could result in long-term cognitive, social, and emotional difficulties for that infant. Bowlby originally believed the effects to be permanent and irreversible. Number 3. Sociological theories of crime causation. Sociological theories of criminology believe that society influences a person to become a criminal. Example is, it includes the social learning theory, which says that people learn criminal behavior from the people around them, and social conflict theory, which says that class warfare is responsible for crime. Letter A. Social disorganization theory. According to Clifford R. Shaw and Henry D. Mackay, it is theoretical perspective that explains ecological differences in levels of crime based on structural and cultural factors shaping the nature of the social order across communities. Letter B. Concentric zone theory. According to Ernest W. Burgess and Robert E. Concentric zone theory posits concentric zones around the central area, defined by the residential composition, moving from the very poor and socially deviant in the inner zone of transition to a peripheral suburban commuter ring. There are 5 concentric zones according to Ernest W. Burgess and Robert E. Park. First is Zone 1, Central Business District. Zone 2, Zone of Transition. Zone 3, Lower Income Working People. Zone 4, High Income Residences. And lastly, Zone 5, Commuter Zone. Letter C. Anomie theory. According to David Emil Durkheim, the term anomie, which derived from the Greek word of nomos, which means without norms. The idea of anomie is that the person chooses criminal activity because the individual believes that there is no reason not to do. In other words, the person is alienated, feels worthless, and that their efforts to try and achieve anything else are fruitless. So that is the anomie theory. Letter D. Strain theory. According to Robert K. Merton, strain theory developed in 1938. The theory states that society puts pressure on individuals to achieve socially accepted goals, such as the American dream, though they lack the means. Letter E. Relative deprivation theory. According to Judith R. Blue and Peter M. Blue in the year of 1918 to 2002, relative deprivation theory suggests that people who feel they are being deprived of something considered essential in their society. Example: money, rights, political voice, and status. It will recognize or join social movements dedicated to obtaining the things of which they feel deprived. This theory was proposed by Mr. and Mrs. Blue. Letter F. General strain theory. General strain theory is a part of the social structure theories of crime, which fit the positivist mode in that they contend that these social forces push or influence people to commit crime. Sociologist Robert Agnew, in the year of 1992, he reformulated the strain theory of Robert Merton and suggests that criminality is the direct result of negative affective states. The anger, frustration, depression, disappointment, and other adverse emotions that derive from the strain. Letter G. Cultural deviance theory. Cultural deviance theory suggests that conformity to the prevailing cultural norms of lower-class society causes crime. The mix of cultures and values created a smaller society with different ideas of deviance, and those values and ideas were transferred from generation to generation. Letter H. Delinquent subculture theory. According to Cohen's basic assumption is that most juvenile criminals are members of delinquent subcultures. According to Cohen, the union of young people into subcultures is the result of adjustments and status problems of their members caused by the inequality of the existing class society. Criminal or delinquent subcultures denote systems of norms, values, or interests that support criminal or delinquent behavior. Letter I. Differential opportunity theory. According to Richard A. Cloward and Lloyd E. Olins, the differential opportunity theory is the output of the classic work, Delinquency and Opportunity. It combines learning, subculture, anomy, and social disorganization theories, and expands them to include the recognition that for criminal behavior, there must also be access to illegitimate means. Letter J. Drift Theory. According to David C. Matza and his associate Gresham M. Skies, drift theory recognizes that juvenile delinquents hold conventional value and attitudes. They are aware that their delinquent actions are viewed by society as deviant. To nullify these conventional values and beliefs, juvenile delinquents learn techniques of neutralization, denial of responsibility, denial of injury, denial of victim, condemnation of the condemners, and appeal to higher loyalties. Letter K. Differential association theory. According to American criminologist Edwin H. Sutherland, in his text, Principles of Criminology, he suggests that people commit crime by learning in a social context through their interactions with others and communication with them. Tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. A Mexican proverb and a quote from Cecil Thunauham. Birds of the same feathers flock together, and when they flock together, they fly so high. Would he the best describe the theory of differential association? Letter L. Containment theory. According to Walter C. Reckless, in the year of 1940s to 1960s, the theory contends that a series of external social factors and internal qualities effectively insulate certain individuals from criminal involvement, even when ecological variables induce others to engage in crime. So that is the containment theory. Next is the social bond theory. According to Travis W. Hirschi, in the year of 1969, social control theory, also known as the social bond theory. It is a control theory built upon the assumption that people are inherently self-interested. Therefore, it seeks to explain why some people refrain from crime rather than engage in crime. Hirschi refers to four elements which constitute the societal bonds. These bonds include attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. Letter N. Social reaction or labeling theory. Social reaction theory or labeling theory focuses on the linguistic tendency of majority group to negatively label minority group or those seen as deviant from norms. Social reaction labeling theory was created by Howard S. Becker in the year of 1963. Social reaction theory is a vibrant area of research and theoretical developments within the field of criminology. Next is primary and secondary deviance. Primary and secondary deviance was created by Edwin M. Lemert in the year of 1912 to 1996. Primary deviance refers to the violation of a norm that does not result in the violators being stigmatized as deviant, but secondary deviance refers to a deviant behavior that results from a stigmatized sense of self that aligns with society's concept of a deviant. Number 4. Economic theories of crime causation. The roots of crime are diverse, and a discipline like economics, predicated on rational behavior, may be at something of a disadvantage in explaining a phenomenon largely viewed as irrational. The foray by economists into this area is relatively recent, dating back to Gary Becker's path-breaking contribution in 1968. As part of a larger model designed to explore optimal criminal justice policy, he developed the supply of offense function, which indicates the factors affecting the number of crimes a rational individual commits. Letter A. Economic model of criminal behavior, or basic theory. The economic theory of criminal behavior is an application of the neoclassical theory of demand, formalized by Nobel laureate Gary Becker in the year of 1968. It states that potential criminals are economically rational and respond significantly to the deterring incentives by the criminal justice system. Letter B. Karl Marx theory. Marxism is a social, political, and economic theory originated by Karl Marx, which focuses on the struggle between capitalists and the working class. Marx wrote that the power relationships between capitalists and workers were inherently exploitative and would inevitably create class conflict. Letter C. Friedrich Engels and William Bonger's theory. According to Friedrich Engels in his work, the condition of the working class in England in the year of 1844 portrayed crime as a function of social demoralization, a collapse of people's humanity, reflecting a decline in society. The same with Engels. William A. Bonger is famous for his Marxist socialist concepts of crime causation, which were published in the year of 1916. Bonger believed that crime is of social and not biological origin, but exception of few special cases, crime lies within the boundaries of normal human behavior. According to Bonger, no act is naturally immoral or criminal. Number 5. Biopsychosocial theories of crime causation. Biopsychosocial criminology in psychology is a multidisciplinary perspective that attempts to understand criminal behavior and related outcomes like antisocial behavior and its consequences by considering the interactions between biological. Letter A. Biopsychosocial model of crime causation. The bio means component of this theory examines aspects of biology that influence health. This might include like brain changes, genetics or functioning of major body organs such as the livers, kidneys, or even the motor system. The psycho means examines psychological components, things like thoughts, emotional or behaviors. The social components of the biopsychosocial model examines social factors that might influence the health of an individuals. Things like our interactions with others, our culture or our economic status. Next is the moral insanity and criminal responsibility. According to Isaac Ray, in the year of 1807 to 1881, he defended the moral concept of moral insanity, a disorder first described in 1806 by the French humanitarian and psychiatrist Philippe Pinel in the year of 1745 to 1826. Moral insanity was a term used to describe persons who were normal in all respects, except that something wrong with the part of the brain that regulates affective responses. According to Maudsley, some people may be considered either insane or criminal according to the standpoint from which they are looked at. Henry Maudsley is a brilliant English medical professor, shared Ray's concerns about criminal responsibility. He believed that for many persons, crime is an outlet in which their unsound tendencies are discharged. They would go mad if they were not criminals, and they do not go mad because they are criminals, according to Adler 2010. Letter C. Premenstrual syndrome. According to Katharina Dorothea K. Dalton, it refers to onset of the menstrual cycle that triggers excessive amounts of the female sex hormones, which affect antisocial and aggressive behavior. Whose studies of English women, 156 newly adult female prisoners, according to Dalton, indicated that these females, one, more likely to commit suicide and be aggressive and otherwise in the commission of suicide than that person who assisted is liable of giving assistance to commit suicide. Letter D. Battered child syndrome. Battered child syndrome is a medical diagnosis based on evidence indicating that the child has been subjected to a pattern of serious and unexplained abuse. It was first coined by Dr. C. Henry Kempe and his colleagues in a landmark article, The Battered Child Syndrome, published in the year of 1962. Letter E. Postpartum stress syndrome and postpartum psychosis. According to Michael Finkelstein, postpartum stress syndrome causes feelings of anxiety and self-doubt. The woman wants to become a perfect mother and wife, but at the same time, she feels exhausted and overwhelmed. While the postpartum psychosis is caused by multiple factors, is uncommon, with only 1 in 1,000 women developing PPP within a few days after childbirth. It can dramatically affect everyone involved. Number 6. Political or social conflict theories of crime causation. The most talked theories about the political or conflict theories of crime causation is the theory of provided by Karl Marx, the social conflict theory, which finds that society is in a constant state of internal conflict, as different groups strive to impose their will on others. Those with money and power succeed in shaping the law to meet their needs and maintain their interests. First is the Marxist criminology. Marxist criminology is a theory that attempts to explain crime through the prism of Marxism. Marxist criminology says during the struggle for resources in capitalism, crime emerges as those on the bottom contend for social, political, and economic equality. Letter B. Conflict theory. Conflict theory views crime as the outcome of class struggle. The classes that are struggling here are the upper, middle, and lower class. According to George Vold, was the one who adopted the conflict theory in criminology. He argued that crime can also be explained by social conflict. Conflict theory holds that those in society who possess the social and economic power, the ruling class, defined as anti-social behavior. Letter C. Social reality of crime. According to Richard Kinney, embraced a conflict model of crime who integrated his beliefs about power, society, and criminality into a theory he refers to as the social reality of crime. Letter D. Left realism. Left realism is just one political ideology that focuses on the causes of crime and deviance. Left realism theory is most connected to the writings of British scholars, which is John Leah and Jack Young, in the year of 1942 to 2013. Letter E. Postmodern theory. Postmodern theory focuses on the critical analysis of communication and language in legal codes. It believes that language is valve-laden and can promote the same sort of inequities that are present in the rest of the social structure. Letter F. Institutive to constitutive theory. According to Greg Barak and Stuart Henry's institutive to constitutive theory defines crime as the application of harm to others. There are two aspects of crime according to Barak and Henry: the crime of repression and crime of reduction. Letter G. Conservatism and liberalism theory. Conservative is a theory which believes that crime can be stopped through tough rules and strict repercussions for those who commit. Liberalism assumes that the ideal society is one in which there is equality of opportunity and a general consensus to concept differences in rewards as the outcomes of fair competition. Letter H. Radicalism. Radical is a conflict ideology which bases its perspectives on crime and law in the belief that capitalist societies precipitate and define crime as the owners of the means of production use their power to enact laws that will control the working class and repress threats to the power of the ruling class. And lastly, the identity fusion theory. According to William B. Swan Jr. and Michael D. Burmester, it defined as visceral feeling of oneness with the group that is associated with increased permeability of the boundary between the personal and social self. That's all. Thank you.